All right, so this is a follow-up to the build video I put together the other day. I'm getting a lot of questions. What do I like? What do I don't like? Hey, you've driven it a bunch. What have you changed? What do you think of it now? So I figured I'd just follow up with a video like this. Every fourth or fifth session, I really just pretty much gut the chassis down to the frame. It gives you a chance to look over all the welds, some places you can't really see when the whole thing's assembled. A lot of the seat struts and stuff are hard to get and look at while the thing's assembled. So I pretty much blow it apart. Really happy with how it's holding up. I had the whole front end apart, the brakes apart, the hubs apart. Bearings are holding up really nicely. I think it's kind of a signal of quality of Kart, I guess, as to what kind of bearings they put in these things. Some of the other brands, I've destroyed a set of bearings in 4 to 5 weekends. So these have held up really nice. Both the rear cassettes and the front hub bearings are holding up really well. One of the most obvious things here is the floor tray. So I've swapped that out with my own. Kind of twofold. One is for safety with these little winglets on here. I've had a crash before where my heel went clean through there. I've like folded one of those ears down on another cart. And to me, if that little winglet wasn't there, my foot would have went through that little gap. And yeah, could have really messed up my foot. So the stock CRG floor tray pretty much ends right where that bend is. So there's a bit of a gap. I guess you could say it's improved aero. I don't really think it's that. For me, it's safety and tuning. So I went a little bit thinner than the factory one. I've probably had 3 or 4 of these made, trying out different thicknesses, different grades of aluminum, trying to get the stiffness I like. I've got another one coming, hopefully last revision, that kind of fixes that bend. What I sent in got a little bit lost in translation to the water jet people. So having a new one coming where it just better fitment, looks better. So I guess with the CRG, the Road Rebel, almost no one runs a front bar, and I really couldn't see myself wanting the front end any stiffer. So on a race weekend, I still want the option, tuning-wise, to go stiffer if I wanted to. So I went softer with the floor tray. That gives me the option of at least maybe throwing in a nylon bar if I wanted to. I'm really kind of happy with it now. I've got it tuned in where I like. The cart seems very susceptible. Maybe it's just the tires. We're running the Avinco reds, kind of similar to MG yellow. To me, they're very responsive to camber changes. So I've been having a lot of luck with that. So between the camber changes and the floor tray, really dialing on the front end. If you look at some of my other practice videos, you can see the front end was very squirrely. So I've just been softening up the front end, kind of taking some front end out of it and really liking it. While we're here on the front end, I have swapped out the steering column support for aluminum one that's got like a needle roller bearing in there. The plastic one, whether it's just me, I really push on the steering wheel. I've bent steering wheels, not in a crash or anything like that. I've just deformed the rims just as I push so hard. So I don't know if it's a combo of just the heat and how hard I push, but there was getting a lot of slop in the plastic one, enough where I could feel it driving. There's still a little bit of play. It's just in the uniball down here. It's hard to get rid of. There's always going to be a little bit of play there, but that's not as noticeable. Most of it was here in the steering column, being able to move. As well as this aluminum one has like a little set screw so you can lock down the front end, which makes it nice, especially with the extra weight of the brakes hanging off this thing. I found when I was trying to set the front end, sometimes it would just be kind of sitting there and you could see it kind of moving. Just the extra weight makes it a little bit harder to do the front end alignment. So being able to lock that down, I pretty much put this on all my carts. I've got like 3 of them just sitting in a toolbox that I just swap out. So that's really helped out quite a bit. I printed some little bit wider spacers here than what comes from factory, just to give myself some room. Clutch cable was kind of crashing. I'm not really sure what the intent was there. If you have the narrow spacers, the throttle cable is always kind of smashing and catching. So give myself some extra room there. Snipers have been okay. I like to kind of set it and forget it of the caster pills. I really do, kind of as an engineer and a nerd. I like the snipers because I can get really precise caster camber out of it, and it is nice adjusting them independently, but I'm finding a lot of slop. So I don't know if it's just a process thing to me, like I'm not locking them down. There needs to be a better order of how I lock down these snipers, but I'm seeing a lot of movement between where I set it in the garage and then when I do a session, come back and check them. It's moving on camber and a little bit on toe. So I think these pills, there's just some float in there that I'm not taking out the slop when I'm putting it together. So still playing around with that. But again, it is a really nice system being able to do caster camber independently. As we move our way back, the Again, because I really like to push so hard on the steering wheel, the shift lever was a bit low for me. So when I have the steering wheel really high, it lets me push really hard. I put my hands really high and I'm really pushing on the wheel. So torch was my friend here. I heated up the little bend, got it kind of cherry red. I tried bending it while I was still in the cart, and I put an old axle over it trying to get the lever up and bend it up. I was afraid I was going to start tweaking and bending some of these brackets. Like, it did not want to move, so I actually had to remove it from the cart and mounted it, put it on the hitch of this big beast, and was basically hanging off of the shift lever here, just trying to get that bend to straighten out a bit. So pretty happy where that is now, just because I run my hands so high. Really was having to reach down during downshifts, and I didn't like it. I was pulling my hand far too, for me at least, like my hand was coming way down to the right to shift, and I didn't like that. So a little tweak there. It would be nice if I think they have like a long version of it, but it's like for tall guys, and it really puts the lever out away from the wheel. I just want less of a bend. So that's working out quite well. Just been on a 3D printing craze here. Everything that I had printed in white, I didn't have black, so I've been swapping them out. I'm really happy with these little hose line keepers. Little 3D printed bracket for the airbox has been holding up really well. Seat spacers, all that fun stuff. So I've been pretty happy with that. Let's see, engine wise, it's been pretty good. You do really have to be on top of maintenance on these things. You can't just run them like Rotax or even the other kind of 125 engines. You really got to be on top of maintenance. They make a lot of power and they require a lot of maintenance. So reeds, I had just recently replaced. I only maybe put an hour on a set of reeds. When I was putting them together, I guess I didn't realize I had an aftermarket set, so they may not have been as good as the TM ones. So we'll see how these hold up. But they had just started to fray and chip on the end. Clutch, I've only really done a couple practice starts. So I've been pretty gentle on the clutch, and I've already rebuilt it once in the 3 to 4 hours of running time that I put on the thing. But I don't know if it's just here. I think you can get a little bit of dust and dirt inside the clutch pack. So I think I got a little rock in there, and I got stuck between some plates and just demolished some of the metal pressure plates and the little friction plates. A couple of them just got absolutely destroyed. So rebuilt the clutch there, just went through the gearbox again, drained the oil. Everything looks really good there. This little doodad, this little spring retainer is seeming to work quite well. Otherwise, I just kept losing springs, which is kind of impressive. There's a lot of tension on these springs. Without this little helper, I kept losing one of the exhaust springs throughout the day. Desert-wise, because it is so hot, I've been trying to like prevent as much flow restriction as possible. So if you're like me, you want to get the most out of it. This little New Line TM one, or not TM, sorry, New Line EM. I think New Line and EM are one and the same. This thermostat temp probe kind of housing, whatever you want to call it, has been my best one so far. It's true 3/4 inch diameter. I've went through like 3 or 4 different ones. I bought one for the Unipro brand that I run. I bought an Alfano one, and I think I have an old Micron one sitting around, but they all step down to like 5/8, and that's a pretty good flow restriction. So the New Line one, if you're looking for the best kind of cooling, max flow, no restrictions, this one seems to be the one that's working for me. With that, I did swap out the original hose I had with the New Line kind of pre-fabbed one, pre-bent one. And that's working quite well. It's much cleaner, nicer routing. Gets it a little bit further away from the chain and everything versus the hose routing I had before. So I like that. I did buy a smaller pulley to kind of speed up the RPM on the pump, try to get a little bit more flow rate. Again, even with the radiator pretty well stood up, I was running it the other day at probably 55 degrees on the vertical, maybe even more than that. And water temps are still 135, 140. So just trying to get every little bit of cooling out of it as I can. I can adjust it here and go up and down. It's finally starting to cool off, so I'm hoping I can run the radiator a little bit more lean back here in a couple weeks. But yeah, just trying to get the max flow rate out of the cooling system that I can. I did repack the exhaust. I kept absolutely scorching the rear bumper, and I think it was just the packing was gross and nasty, and when I pulled it apart, it was kind of starting to burn up and get nasty. So that's a real pain in the butt. If you do go to do it, you can just drill out this set of rivets. I started on this side, and of course the I guess the outlet is not really tied to the perforated pipe on the inside, so you can just do the one side. You can pull out this side, and the perforated tube comes with it. But just for convenience and getting everything lined up, it was actually, honestly, if you're going to do it, just drill out both sides and re-rivet both sides. Because once you get the fiberglass wrapped and try to jam the fiberglass and the perforated tube down there, it's kind of hard to get it aligned to this stinger end on the end. So being able to kind of feed them through all at the same time really helped out. What else while we're here at the back? You've probably seen a bunch of holes drilled in the seat. So again, with kind of the setup change in tandem with the floor tray, I've slid the seat back another good bit, and I'm really liking that. It's just calming down the front end. I'm just not used to a shifter chassis, I think, and just how stiff it is. So trying to slow down my hands, slow down the reactivity of the front end. So moving the seat back, front end adjustments has really helped out. So what I do like about the Road Rebel is like entry to mid corner grip is just phenomenal. Like you turn the thing in and it just goes. And it almost goes too well for me, where I've been trying to slow down my hands. So seat back really helped. I'll probably be swapping this one out. This is just the factory CRG one. It's probably medium-ish to soft stiffness. I want to try the Tillet, real soft one. I think it's the T11 VG, and just try to get a little bit more flex out of the center of the chassis and just soften up the seat, and just trying to soften the cart in general is really helping me out. So we'll probably try that next. Brakes have been pretty good. I'm going to try going down a set of holes here for the next set. So normally on my other chassis, I guess the Tony cart is just like a straight pull, so you don't get like a leverage adjustment. But like my comp cart and some of the other chassis I've run, I tend to go down with the brake rods. So if you go down here, it just requires more force to hit the brakes. And I'm a brake stomper. So the harder I can hit the brakes, the more control I think you get out of it. It just allows for more finesse. So if I ask you, hey, I want you to hit the brakes with 10 pounds of force, but I want you to modulate it by 5%. Well, you've got to do 10 plus or minus a half a pound, right? So that's going to be very hard to me to modulate. Now, if I told you, hey, smash those brakes with 100 pounds of force, but I want you to modulate them plus or minus 5%. Well, that's 5 pounds of force. And to me, that's easier to modulate. So although they are pretty stiff, they're probably the stiffest brakes I've used in this kind of configuration, this lever style one. I am going to go down on a set of holes, I think, and try to back it and just give myself a little bit more force. Again, I like hitting the brakes. I like really pushing on the wheel. And I find just the heavier the inputs for me, just because I'm quite a strong guy, the heavier the inputs, it just seems to work. I'm just able to finesse everything a little bit more. Clutch lever, although my initial video I thought it was a little hinky, you basically never use it, so it's not a big deal. I do have a billet one that I got in. I've been too lazy to replace it because it works, it's fine. You launch the cart once during the race and you never touch it again. And I just tend to bump start it, so I get someone pushing me and I just smack the clutch or the shift lever forward. Again, I'm trying to save the clutches, so I'm not really using the clutch at all. What else? Overall, I think it's a really good kit. I'm happy with it. The parts are really nice. It's been so far so good. Everything's working out. No premature failures. The pedals I really love. They're super stiff. I'm liking that. The heel rest, again, I just like to push super hard, so I don't feel any movement in this heel rest when I'm really digging my heels, and you can see kind of all the scuff marks of how hard I'm pushing in my heels. I'm already polishing this floor tray. Yeah, overall, super excited. I've got my first big boy race. We're doing our first KZ race at K1 Circuit here in a couple weekends with Tri-C Carters. So I'm excited to try that. I've been trying to race here for the last, almost a month or two since I put the thing together, but life and work have kind of gotten in the way. So we'll do that as a kind of a warm-up for the SCUSA Pro Kart race. That's like mid-October. If I can leave you with one last little tip, always mark when you're pulling maintenance on anything and you've taken essential fluids out of something, where essentially if you don't run it with that, you're going to kill an engine or something, just mark it. You never know. Like I was pulling the gearbox apart and I was draining the oil and I got a phone call and I had to go answer that. You get busy, you come back, you're scrambling to go to the racetrack, you forget to put water in, and you've just smoked a $6,000 engine. So always label it. Like I literally just drained this the other day. I had the radiator out. I was just giving it a good clean, trying to get between the fins and everything when I had it all apart. I know it doesn't have water in it, but it's still worth marking. The other thing I like to do, if I'm at the track and I don't have a piece of tape or something sitting around, if you don't have fluids in something, leave the cap off. It's a reminder. You walk up, you go to the grid, you see, oh, my cap's off. I haven't put water in the thing. A little bit more difficult. You don't want the gearbox sitting open and the drain plug off. But again, it's another good reminder. If you don't have the drain plug on, you don't have oil in it. So just do yourself a favor and mark that. Yeah, other than that, anybody has any questions, concerns, anything I didn't cover you want me to speak to? No real secrets here. That's why I love the karting community. You ask somebody a question, they're normally going to tell you the truth, and they're going to, give you something straight. And we're all competitors, but we all want to see people succeed. So yeah, if you have questions, let me know. Appreciate everyone watching, and yeah, hopefully I'll have a video here in a couple weeks of actually racing the thing. Thanks. Bye.